page 2 of your agenda, resolution number 01, to approve a license agreement between the City of Latrobe and the Greater Latrobe School District. I will, do all of you have an agenda? Or should I read the motion? I'll read the motion quickly. Resolved that the Greater Latrobe Board of School Directors here approves a license agreement between the City of Latrobe and the Greater Latrobe School District to utilize a predetermined number of parking spaces at Memorial Stadium at no charge. The license agreement is subject to review and approval of the solicitor. So, would anyone in the audience wish to comment on that resolution since we are voting on it this evening? Okay, hearing no discussion, then we'll move on with the agenda. Under the committee reports, community relations, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jack Townsend, who's with us this evening, to talk about the Rotary Park Pavilion. Welcome, Mr. Townsend.
Good evening, and thank you for the time. I'm accompanied tonight by two other Latrobe Rotarians that I'd like to stand and have them recognized. And the first is Dr. Ed Morgan, the president of our club, Ed. And beside him is Ronald Pastor. Ron is the treasurer of our club. I always like to be accompanied by the big hitters. The one that can say yes, and the other one writes a check. Now, I put on the table to be passed around as just a quick look at what I'd like to talk about. We would like to do something at Rotary Park, and we would like your approval. But before I specifically ask for that, just to give a little bit of history to those who forgot and to those of you who may be new. But in 1996, the Latrobe Rotary Club celebrated 75 years of service to the Latrobe area community. At that time, we pledged $75,000 for the start of improvements at what was then called Youngstown Field. Might have been called a few other things. But it was basically a grassy area, had one softball field. With the school district's approval, we moved forward, and you now have two softball fields, regulation soccer field, 30 by 60 pavilion. You got parking, gravel, you got roads to the back, and what was important to quite a few people was to put a restroom in a number of years ago. When we initiated that project, it was named Latrobe Rotary Community Park / School. It was an interesting name at the time. A lot of people asked, what is that? Well, being that it was school district property, our thoughts were, and what we envisioned was an outdoor area that could accommodate both activity or athletics and academics in an outdoor setting. The need seemed to have existed at the time that the primary emphasis initially was to increase the area as far as athletic participation. So we proceeded, and about 2 or 3 years ago, some of the young staff that you hired really got us excited again. Got us excited in that we were shown the opportunities to have the park provide a setting for outdoor academics, primarily in the environmental science arena, capstone, and we have very pleasantly kind of partnership with those groups and their efforts in stream bank remediation and increasing the quality of life in the stream have been just absolutely wonderful. That area is a 100-year floodplain, so theoretically, once every 100 years, it floods. Well, we had floods in 2003, 4, 5. Stream overflowed in 6, 7, 8. However, the work of the capstone project, the stream bank remediation, what they have done, take the time to visit with your environmental science class, go down to the park and see what they did, and have them tell you what it's doing. Because it has really minimized the overflow that we often encounter during the peak rainy season. Rotary has been involved with the school for 70 years, one way or another, either the students, the educators, with scholarships, athletics, buildings, projects. This has been a very big one. We've spent well beyond the $75,000 initially committed. And what I'm here to ask is to continue our development of the park. What I don't have with me, which I should have brought, is the original drawings depicted a structure in the back part of that improved area. Originally, it looked like an enclosed structure. We weren't sure what, but we thought with the athletics toward the front, the area for academics in the back, the outdoor education with trails, it's just unlimited in the possibilities. But we thought a staging area, some sort of shelter would be nice. Well, it's taken us a while. So 15 years later, we're still pushing. But what we would like to do is erect a 32 by 32 elevated deck, be with a roof. It's his ramp, it's handicap accessible, and that will sort of allow us to mark one more thing on our checklist of stuff to do at Rotary Park. But I think it'll really benefit the educational component and bring that Rotary Park school really into play. So we're asking for your approval. It'll be fully funded. What we're looking at beyond with site preparation, restoration, landscaping, we're probably looking at about a $63,000 project. That's what Rotary's offering to you in celebration of our 90th anniversary in the Latrobe community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. You know, this school district is truly blessed by the community of Latrobe, and Rotary is certainly one of the main organizations that bring us those blessings, and we thank you so much, and you certainly make it nicer and better for the students here at Greater Latrobe, and such a quality education that's provided, and you're part of that, and we thank you very much for that. Thank you for coming and all your hard work. Legislative report, Dr. Laughlin. Thank you. Education and planning, the students are here this evening, Carmelina and Mitchell.
Okay, so since there are some new faces in the crowd, Mitchell and I thought we'd take this opportunity to kind of say a little bit about ourselves. My name is Carmelina Laffa, and Mitchell and I are both seniors here. And I play softball, I kind of want to say that. I love it, it's my passion, so if you need to know anything about softball, I can't really say enough about it. And I'll be going to Pitt next year. And for my report, I'd like to talk to you about the class officer at Breakfast with Santa. We, as class officers, we try to do a charity event every year, and this year was Breakfast with Santa. And it was kids, I think, 10 and under were able to attend, and we had 110 kids come, and it was in the Commons at the high school. And we had Chick-fil-A bring in some food, and Dunkin' Donuts, and Santa came, and we put him in front of the Christmas tree, and I wasn't able to attend, but I heard it was a really nice event.
Well, my name is Mitchell Wilt. I'm a senior at Greater Latrobe. I play varsity tennis. I'm I'm unsure of where I'm going yet, because I have yet to hear back until the critical deadline. But I'm planning on majoring in international business. What student council did over the Thanksgiving break is we organized Thanksgiving baskets, and we collected food and canned goods during homeroom, and gave them to 19 families in need. The student council, they organized the baskets during class, and over the weekend we gave them to the 19 families. Also, a week or so after, we started decorating the commons area. It's a lot of fun. It provides a nice change of pace in the scenery of the school, and it really gets the school in the holiday spirit. And then the last thing I'd like to mention is that we also have new merchandise in the student store. If anyone would like to purchase any, you can go on to the school's website. There's a catalog in there, and there's also order forms. So there's some new fleeces and sweatshirts and t-shirts if anyone's interested. Thank you.
On page 6 and 7 of your packet is the enrollment report from Dr. Tepper. Do you have any comment on that at all, Dr. Tepper?
Are there any questions?
Outstanding this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. The curriculum committee minutes are on pages 8 to 11 in your packet. The curriculum committee met a couple weeks ago, and
Brian is at the SAS Portal Conference in Hershey, that's why he's not here this evening.
okay. Why don't you read that whole thing, and we'll maybe discuss that then next week with everything that was discussed on there from the curriculum committee. So if you would look that over this week and come in with any questions, and we'll talk about what happened at the curriculum committee then. On your agenda for next week would be a motion to approve Annie Brent to provide speech and language supervision for 2 days at Ligonier Valley School District for their recently hired speech and language specialist, speech counsel for clinical certification through American Speech Language and Hearing Association. And that would be an agenda item for next week for your approval. Anybody have any comment?
Annie Grant is completing a year of leadership through the American Speech and Language Hearing Association, and she meets monthly with local speech therapists, and discovered that a young lady who's working in Ligonier supervision in order to get her certification, and offered to do that for her, and we're just asking that she be permitted to go into their school and provide these 2 days of supervision.
Any questions on that?
Just one time, 2 days, right?
Yes.
That's my part of the agenda, and I'll turn it over to finance with Mrs. Elder.
Thank you. On your agenda, you will notice that next week we will have the treasurer's report and payment of bills on the agenda. The budgetary transfers takes up a whole page on page 12, but it's very little, really, just to realign the senior high school library funds coming out of one pocket and going into another. And did we find out what the IRS mileage rate is?
No, I checked the IRS website today, it still has not been released, but if it's released prior to the December 13th meeting, we'll include it on the agenda for approval. It normally changes January 1st, I think.
And on page 13, there is a resolution to approve our giving confidential information for the Berkheimer tax collection group for the earned income tax for the school district members or school district citizens. And for that information to go to Mr. Watson as a representative of the district. And we'll be approving that next week. And I have now the real pleasure, I guess, it will relieve a lot of problems in the city of Latrobe to to move for adoption of resolution number 1 to approve the license agreement between the city of Latrobe and the Greater Latrobe School District.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, we approve resolution number 1. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Mrs. Mapes.
Yeah.
Mr. Mapes would like to comment on the, language of the license agreement.
Please, go ahead.
If you could, turn to page 14 in your packet, is the, proposed license agreement. The motion that you're passing is subject to the solicitor's review and approval. And we got this agreement, for review on Friday, and so I've made some review and approval changes here that I'd like to review with you, that are a little bit different than what's on this agreement. And I don't believe it's going to be a problem with the city, so, just give me 2 minutes here and I'll review them with you. Paragraph 1, Exhibit A has been agreed to. There was no exhibit with the original agreement, so we didn't know which area they were referring to, but our representatives have been down and agreed on an area, so there's no problem there, and we're on the same page. We've agreed to service between the hours of 7 in the morning and 6 at night, so hours weren't on there, but we'll add a clause for the hours. Paragraph 4, the 60-day notice for termination on our part. I'm reducing to 10 days, and there's no problem with that, but I just feel a little bit more comfortable not having it quite as long. The paragraph 6 is being deleted. Paragraph 7, the blank will be filled in, single limit of not less than $1 million per occurrence for the insurance. There will be a new paragraph added that doesn't appear on this document, but it will say to this effect, the lessor, which is the school district, lessor reserves the right to limit the hours of service under this agreement during certain events that take place at the stadium. Basically we'll put a reasonable notice requirement that we tell them in advance, so that if there's games, track meets, football games, things like that, we'll let them know in advance, and there'll be a different staging area, so that we never lose the use of our facilities when we need them. And I believe that covers the changes that I've recommended on the agreement. So, assuming that, and I don't think we'll have any problem with that, we're working very well with the city, and they truly appreciate the generosity of the school district. Basically, so that it's very clear in the media, the school district is just providing these spaces free. There may be some cost for the van. That has nothing to do with the school district. We basically provided a set number of parking spaces by the stadium for free parking for people to assist the city during this parking crisis that they're having. The city and the local county will run a van back and forth, and the cost of that will just defer the cost of the van, as I understand it. So the school district is providing this area. We don't have any responsibility for snow removal. We don't have any responsibility for any expenses. The only expense that you'll incur is electricity from lights, which are on anyway. So it's a nice thing that you're doing for the city, and I know they really appreciate it, and we'll continue to work with them on this.
Mr. Nichols, under number 8, it says licensor will not be responsible. It says not responsible, I'm thinking perhaps we should insert be responsible.
We've changed,
Okay.
we've changed,
Just
I'm
checking.
sorry, yes,
Thank you.
we got that. So we just got this ourselves, and had a chance to look at it this afternoon. I met with the solicitor from the city, and they don't believe that the changes are drastic. We're gonna
So I made the motion to approve, you approved it, are you still okay with the changes? Mrs. Cosar, you seconded? resolution number 1, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Anyone abstain? Motion that approves unanimously.
And, there is a letter on page, the check copy is on 16, and the letter's on page, 17, and I believe continues over to page 18 regarding the, donation that has been made through the Educational Improvement Tax Credit Program by Westmoreland Mechanical Testing and Research to the school district. And, this is to be used at Bagley Elementary School. Mr. Watson, do you want to tell us more about what it will be used for?
Mr. Brucker, do you mind speaking to that?
No, it's fine.
First of all, let me say I'm very appreciative to Mr. Rossi and Westmoreland Mechanical Testing for the grant. I considered many options, and I worked with Mrs. Ponus to make sure that the email that I received from the Rossis, let me go back for a second, they wanted it used for some type of technology. So I worked with Mrs. Ponus. I wanted to make sure that we were doing something that fit into our plan. Looked at several different options, and I finally decided to try to get the biggest bang for our buck. And we do have a pretty nice buck there to spend. You're aware that in all the classrooms 4 through 6, we place smart boards into those classrooms. I decided to purchase one piece to add to those smart boards in each of the classrooms, and it's called a smart slate, which allows the teacher to move away from their computer and use that smart board in a wireless manner. You've watched our presentations here in the CSC, and someone's always manning the computer. Well, now in the classroom, they can take that smart slate and they can poke around on the smart board. So that's something that the teachers can use in the classroom. It's something that the students can use in the classroom, and it benefits almost half of the building at Bagley Elementary. So instead of purchasing a cart of laptops that might benefit 30 children, like I said, we're covering 3 grades, and it adds a piece to something that we put in our classroom. And it's also, per piece, it's rather inexpensive in the sense that if we are to add more smart boards to the school, it's something we might be able to budget for down the road to have all of our boards have a smart slate. So again, I'm very appreciative of the grant. Mrs. Swigert, I'm not sure if I'm right. We talked about the benefit to creating a foundation here at Greater Latrobe, and one of the benefits would be receiving the full $5,000 grant that WMTR had wanted to send to Bagley Elementary. Because our foundation hasn't been created yet, we have to give up $250 of that grant. So I just think it's a great example of how we'll benefit down the road too from having a foundation. Any questions?
Thank you very much. And the contracts, that will be on our agenda for acceptance next week. The contracts for vision and dental insurance expire at the end of this year. And Mr. Watson has put out a request for proposals, and he will be able to make a recommendation about those next week.
Yes, I'll just add real quick. We currently use school cleaning services through PSBA. Dental vision expires January 1st. We did a request for proposal. It was due on Friday. We received 4 proposals, one from MetLife, one from United Concordia, one from Guardian, and one from, I can't think of the 4th one right now. But anyways, I'll be in the process of reviewing those, and I'll make a recommendation at next week's meeting. Thank you.
And the last thing on the finance section of the agenda regards the Act 1 resolution. If you look on page 19 of your agenda, you will see that a district that is intending to raise taxes intending to get their budget done and then raise taxes above the index must make notice of that to the public before January 5th of 2012. And if we are believing that we're going to be able to adopt a preliminary budget without going over the index, we also must make that clear to the public. And that is the resolution that will be on our agenda next week regarding the situation coming up for the 2012-2013 budget. And that will appear on the agenda next week. That's the end of my report.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Allen. Property and supply, it's pretty short, I'll just run through this. The spring sports equipment and supplies award will be on your agenda next week for approval. And also on, an agenda item will be permission to advertise for 2012-2013 school year for the general, school supplies, art and science supplies, paper, custodial, and electrical supplies, and fall, winter, and spring sports equipment and supplies will be an agenda item. There will also be an agenda item on opening of bids for a snowplow truck.
May I speak?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
We received 2 bids, and neither one meet our specs, so we'll have to reevaluate how we're gonna
Okay,
approach purchasing a used. We're looking for a used plow truck.
okay. So you don't think that would be on the
That
agenda?
won't be on the agenda.
Won't be on the agenda then for next week. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And also on the agenda will be the architectural services recommendation.
If I might add, we received 18 proposals, we narrowed it down to 5. We had interviews on the 30th, and we will be recommending Axis Architecture to the board next week. I provided each of you with a CD that has the electronic proposal from Axis. I also have some grids that compare the fee proposal, if anybody's interested in reviewing those prior to next week's vote. Please send me an email and I'll send it over to you electronically.
Thank you. And lastly, on pages 22 and 23, are approval of items for sale, distribution, and disposal, and there's a list there on page 23 of the items that we intend to try to sell. So you can look that over, and that will be an agenda item then for next week.
I have one additional.
Go ahead.
I've been looking, Bagley Elementary telephone system has been giving us trouble. I was starting to try to receive bids to replace it. Today it crashed completely. I went ahead and, I had 2 bids, I do not have a third one, I'm trying to get that, secure that bid. But we're moving forward because of necessity. This is pretty much an emergency. So I do have 2 bids. One is from ATEC, and it's for $9,467. And from Westmoreland Telephone Company, a bid of $7,171. So I'm moving forward with Westmoreland Telephone and securing, getting the work done. So
that will be on the agenda then for approval for next week. Thank you. Any questions? And,
I have a question. Is it usable? Will people be able to call the school?
I've worked that out this evening. We put a phone in place that can receive calls, so people can receive calls. You know, just a standalone phone. They're able to call out, they cannot receive calls. That's the issue. So they are able to call out, they cannot call in. So I put a phone there for the short term to get this in place. So.
It would be good if that could appear somewhere.
We put out a global connect at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I did a global connect tonight. I did a global connect.
But there are people who might want to call the school who aren't on Global Connect, because they think that when that number's in the phone book, they can just call it.
Our temporary line though is our main number here.
Okay.
So that is the number that they would call. It's been real quiet, it was real quiet today.
Teach us how that works.
So it should not be too long in a period of time when they're on without their regular service. So even though we're not actually approving this until
We're
next
moving
week,
forward, yes.
we're moving
Yes,
forward
ma'am.
and putting it in. Good, okay.
anything else to come up under property and supply? Okay, under student activities and recreation, the only thing there is, Matt Smith's term to Latrobe Unity Parks and Recreation Commission Board, is up at the end of this year, so we, are going to reappoint Matt in January for a term of January of 12 through December, 2014. And that will be an agenda item. Go ahead.
Next week, Mrs. Baines, also in the board members package, I'll have a list of all the senior night, the winter events, so everybody knows when the senior nights are.
Okay. Thank you. And under the intermediate unit liaison, there is a summary of the WIU board meeting in your packet on pages 24 and 25 for you to read. And next week, I guess we'll have an appointment, a replacement for Mrs. Bola to be our WIU board representative. And we'll turn it over to Mrs. Kozar for the EWCTC Joint Operating Committee.
The only point I'd like to make is that we're having our reorganization meeting on Wednesday evening at 5:45, and they're all invited, so that we can vote for our joint unit board.
Please come, so there will be
A quorum. We have a little bit of an issue getting a quorum, but Latrobe, we've held our own every year, so we're doing well. And the food is prepared by the culinary students, and it's really wonderful.
And it's a nice opportunity.
It's a really nice
to showcase what they've been doing.
And it's also concurrent with the industry. People are also in the building. So it's nice to see people from the community and talk to them about what's happening at VETAC. And it's a great opportunity to meet with people in industry and ask them what they need from for our students, what their preparations need to be. So I hope you all have them.
Presentations there are usually really interesting.
Yes. Yeah, they usually do a tour of different shops. So it's fun and very educational.
Thank you very much. Board Policy and PSBA Liaison, Mrs. Elder.
I had no report this evening, but I would like to say, I forgot, there will be a finance committee meeting at the regular time, which is at 10 in the morning on Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month. So everyone on the board is invited to that meeting, and that's when we get all the details of what's happening with finance, and already the budget is something that we're talking about. So you can learn a lot from coming to that meeting. And it doesn't take too long, it's always over before or about noon.
Thank you. And
Just Wednesday, right there?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes, is there anything for transportation this evening?
We have our meeting Wednesday, also at the administration building at 1:30, our monthly meeting. For anybody who'd like to attend.
Thank you. Technology, Mr. Palmer.
No report from there.
Thank you. Superintendent recommendation.
Next week, we would ask the board to move on 3 resignations that are listed on your board agenda. Matt Musiak, assistant baseball coach, Robert Reed, girls assistant soccer coach, and Rich Kazusko, assistant softball coach, all effective immediately. In addition, we would ask you to approve the addition of 2 substitutes, or excuse me, 1 substitute, teacher substitute, Emily Dulac, and a support personnel, Melissa Barbeglio. Sure I said that correctly, hopefully I did. I'll just continue. In the month of December, there are a plethora of concerts and things that you can all attend to enjoy this holiday season. They are all listed there for your review, and if you're interested in attending, please feel free. In addition, Mrs. Pellis, the principal at Mountain View, called me today. If you're interested, approximately at 5:45 on Friday evening, Mountain View and some students will be spotlighted on WTAE for their creation and donation of over $2,000, correct, to Project Bungalow. They were called today and asked if they could come down and be on the show, again, approximately at 5:45 on Friday. So if you have some time and you're watching TV on Friday evening, Mrs. Pellis and some students will be there from Mountain View. So congratulations, Mountain View.
Other business is a list of meetings that are upcoming. The regular meeting will be held next Tuesday, December and the regular meeting Tuesday, January 17th at 7:30. Any other business to come before the board this evening? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes, we don't need motion to
All right, we can just adjourn then. But I remind the board, we are having an executive session, so please, stick around for that.